EXASCALE Armor is one of the systems in Elsword that sounds extremely important, but the game explains it in a very fair number of zero useful ways. Like a lot of features in this game, actually. Like every feature in this game. Hello everyone, welcome to this video, and before we begin, do not worry, you do not need a degree in engineering to understand it, I promise. It's actually pretty simple to understand. Let me get through it. First, you need to acquire said EXASCALE Armor, and you do that by completing the epic quest entering Serpentium by beating the Palace of Gold Maidovine dungeon. After that, you'll receive this cube in which you can open to get your armor. Now, a lot of things are different, yet very similar with your Tenebrous Armor set that you had prior. You got the Reforged system in different modes depending on your preferred playstyle or role. The enhancing and reforging is the exact same, though the materials we need for reforging will be changed from Tenebrous Aura to refined EXASCALE, that's how it's pronounced, and Zetrium ore, and you can get those by doing your daily Serpentium quest. No, you cannot escape the mines. Another thing that is pretty much the same apart from the stats given is the chip system. This is the EXASCALE version of the Harkonnen modification. The whole I get your stat and you get the stat in return. Here's how they work. You get chips from doing Serpentium and Dumaporia raids. After identification, each chip comes with their own stat distribution. However, you need to tune them. Tuning a chip means increasing their potency of either the positive effect or negative effect. And you can do so by speaking to Hyvan in the camp steel wall and clicking on chip tuning. This will bring you to a screen with two different values. The blue on the left is your positive effect, while the red on the right is your negative. Clicking the tune button will increase one or the other, with a set chance of the tuning going to the positive, which adjusts with how many positives you manage to increase. The more positives, less chance your next tuning will increase it further. The ED fee scales with your successful attempts, starting off at 1 million ED and increasing by 1 billion at each successful attempt. So the most you will spend is 45 million ED if you get 9 successful attempts, which is never gonna happen. The goal here is to get as many positive effects as you can. If the results aren't good, you can buy your chip reset system or drop it in Serpentium dungeons. You reset the tuning entirely to try again. However, a chip can only be reset 3 times. Then you can apply said chips to the EXASCALE Armor of your choice, just like Harkonnen reactors for your Tenebrous set. If you're a DPS, the blue stat you're looking for is to deal continuous damage. If you're a support and want to inflate your combat power, look for Polarize. If your Polarize is maxed out, however, you can aim for attack power percentage, so magical and physical. For the red effect, it wants damage reduction or damage from Boss Master, because these affect your game performance at the least, and has zero impact on combat power. Now that the easy part is over with, let's go over the part people struggle the most with: circuits. Circuits are the bread and butter of the EXASCALE armor. Without them, you might as well run with your Aeronode armor. Get it? Because it sucks. There are 3 colors and 3 types of circuits with 4 subtypes for each armor piece. There's the I type, the L type, and the T type, with the subtypes going from number 1 to 4. The letter indicates the shape of the circuit, while the number indicates the rotation of the circuit. Clockwise for L types and anti-clockwise for T types. The color dictates the entirety of your EXASCALE's playstyle, which can be achieved by inputting all the circuits of the same color. There is Compute, which is red, Cycle, which is blue, and Restore, which is green. I and L types can be acquired in Madame Coray's Garden dungeon in Serpentium. T types can be acquired in Serpentium and Dumaporia raids. Each circuit comes with a certain range of specific stats. I and L type comes with a minimum of 0.50% for a stat with a maximum of 1%, while T types still has a maximum of 1%, but comes with a minimum of 0.70%. Post-editing here. So in the latest update that I just hit this Wednesday, because there's been some EXASCALE improvements, the lowest value from the I and L type circuits will no longer appear, so the 2 lowest values, so 0.5% and 0.6%. So it's gonna be from 0.7% to 1% now. Alright, for example, let's see you do a Serpentium raid, and you probably got a circuit that goes like this. Color is red, the type is T3 with the stat of deal continuous damage by 0.80% for your top. This is a very good circuit for a DPS. You want to keep that and input it in your EXASCALE armor. Another example, a I2 type circuit. Color is green with the stat of all attribute resistance of 4 for your bottom. This isn't a good circuit and you should be dismantled. You can also sell it on the board, but I doubt anyone would want an attribute resistant circuit. If that sentence just bounced off your brain, good, that means you're normal. All you need to remember for now is same color, connect the line, and the number goes up. Alright, So let's see what each color of the exascales do. Red exascale is the pure raw damage. Having the red exascale armor set equipped will give you and your party a 10% critical damage buff. What it does is that each skill you use will give you one stack of an effect called logic. Each stack increases your physical and magical attack power by 1% and has a max stack of 20. This gives you 20% attack power permanently after reaching the max stack. Each stack lasts for 30 seconds. When the 30 seconds runs out, you only lose one stack instead of losing the buff entirely, which makes it super forgiving if you ever forget to use a skill or two in red mechanics. This is why your damage feels insane when it's up and completely pathetic when it's not. Upon reaching 20 stacks, you will get a buff called Generate. This will allow you to press your item's special function key to gain Reset. Reset effect spends all of your logic stacks to give you 500% master skill and hyperactive skill damage, and increases your received recovery portion effect by 50% for 5 seconds. This effect can be good if your character often uses hyperactives or master skills, but usually you want to not use the reset effect unless you have the antenna earrings accessory equipped. Antenna earrings gives you 8% skill damage for 20 seconds after receiving reset, resistance, or complete effect. If your character has no issue getting back to 20 logic stacks before the buff runs out, you can use this to your advantage during mechanics and immunity phases to receive a total of 28% damage increase for the remaining duration of the reset effect if you have max stacks of logic. The top circuits will need to be deal continuous damage for the most damage output using it. So yeah, this isn't much different from the usual rotations. Just spam skills and you're good to go. Blue Exascale is a skill reset simulator. Having your blue Exascale armor set equipped will also give you and your party a 10% critical damage buff. At the start of the dungeon, this Exascale set will give you the flow effect, which gives you 1.2 times cooldown acceleration and an additional 8% chance to reset your skill cooldown. If it procs, you switch your flow buff to resist, which gives you the same chance for skill reset, but instead of giving you a skill cooldown acceleration, it gives you a 16% all skill damage increase. This set is highly recommended for characters that has trouble with maintaining the rotations due to skill cooldown issues, but you can choose to go with cycle either way because of its synergy with the antenna earrings. Each time you either get flow or resist, the earrings will proc, giving you an almost permanent uptime of your antenna earrings if the game doesn't despise you with the skill reset. So long to read, spam skills, that's it, that's the gameplay of cycle, like literally just spam skill. This set has an incredible damage output and gives an easier time for players that find frustration in their character's cooldown management. Your top circuits will need to be skill reset chance for the most damage output using it. Roses are red, violets are blue, cooldowns are suggestions, and so are you. Restore Exascale is the support one. Having a green Exascale armor set equipped will give you and your party a 10% attack power increase, while also giving them an all skill damage increase by the sum of all skill damage circuits on your gloves multiplied by 0.8. So an armor piece has 15 circuit slots in total, which means that if your gloves are filled with all skill damage circuits, you're giving your team your maximum value of 12% all skill damage increase. The Restore set is meant for supports and only supports, with probably the single best effect a support can give in the entire game, and that is the complete effect. At the start of the dungeon, you will gain the repair effect for 60 seconds. This will reduce your damage received by 1.2%. After the 60 seconds mark, this buff will convert itself to bridge. Upon obtaining this effect, you will give and your team a shield equals to 30% of your max HP for 10 seconds. Once you press your item's special function key while you have this buff, which is a very visible purple circle icon on your buffs, you will change to Complete. Complete gives the entire party a 10% increase to action speed, and the best part, the cooldown of everyone's skills that are registered in the Transcendence slot will change to 0.5 seconds. The buff will last for 10 seconds and automatically expire upon 5 Transcendence skill users. This is mandatory for raid parties. The complete effect allows for a massive burst of damage from your DPSs each minute. This effect is so good that you don't even need to build your Exascale to its max potential to use it. Just get 3 green circuits to complete it. Then ask one of your teammates to delay the dungeon. After accepting the dungeon start request, quickly change your current armor to your green Exascale to bypass the combat power requirements. It will be incredibly squishy, but it's worth it. Your sub circuits will need to be use skills cooldown to maintain your support skill spamming to the best of your ability. Oh yeah, and another tangent. So you know how nowadays in most raids, people use their F5 very often. The quick voice can be used for a lot of things, mechanics, callouts, and most importantly, the Exascale buff. What will happen is that every time the support gets the bridge effect, they will use their F5 or just a quick voice in general to call out that their EXA is ready. Or in VC, people can just say EXA ready. And then the DPS responds by doing the same thing, using F5 or just a quick voice in general, or just saying EXA go in the voice chat. This will basically mean that the support will need to use their item special function key to change their buff to complete. So we've covered the chips and circuits, but how do you actually use those circuits? So go to Hyvan, talk to him, and go to the Equip Circuits tab. Click on your armor piece and it will open a window with all of the circuit slots waiting to be filled. So the way this works is that you need to connect your circuits from the starting point of your armor to its ending point. For example, making a simple 3-circuit loop is enough to activate it as long as it connects right. If there is a single circuit that doesn't connect to anything, it will prevent your armor from activating. The goal here is to maximize your effects by inputting the correct circuits with as much value as possible. To prevent your armor from getting a potential man treatment, you can look up circuit templates or inspect strong players to see how they organize their circuits to follow them. A maximized EXASCALE circuitry requires 3 L types, 4 T1 types, 4 T2 types, 4 T3 types, and 4 T4 types. Alright, hi everyone. I'm reading this off script because I want to be more honest, I guess. This is my first video on this channel, and I've probably got a lot to improve on. I've got some past experiences from because I actually used to make videos under a different name that I'm not gonna mention because I kinda just wanna forget about it. So if you have any critique or feedback that you wanna tell me, don't forget to leave them in the comments. I will be reading everything and try to take them into accountability for the next videos. So yeah, thank you for watching if you made it this far. I'm not really gonna ask for subscribers or likes because I cannot just do it for the love of the game, I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, if you enjoyed, let me know in the comments. If you've got any suggestions for things that you don't really understand in the game, that you want some clarification, then you can also leave them in the comments so I can maybe cover them in the next videos. I will be making character guides in the future, and so I hope to meet you guys there. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day.